What's up, Carolina fans? You are listening to the Carolina Sports Update with Neil Curtis on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We got a lot to get to today. We got a lot of stuff, even though it's now officially full-time off-season for the NFL. We still got a couple of things we want to talk about for the Panthers. Carolina Hurricanes continue to do their thing. Charlotte Hornets going through some trade craziness. We also even have a little bit of college football to do a quick run through, and of course we got all your best North and South Carolina based ACC, SEC basketball matchups to talk about here. Make sure you stick around, check us out after these sponsorship word from our sponsors, and come back to the Carolina Sports Update on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Carolina Sports Update with Neil Curtis. All right, let's kind of get into this. Talk a little bit about some of our professional teams first. Let's start off, of course, like we always do with the Carolina Panthers here. Before I really get into that, though, let's talk a little bit. We are now got sponsorship links. You can check out all your favorite IE Sports Radio podcasts. We all have our own sponsorship links. You check it down there. Scrolling at the bottom is my sponsorship link. That is HTTPS. Is Spreaker. That's SPREAKER.com/podcast/Carolina Sports Update with dashes. So Carolina-Sports-Update. And then 632-6819 /support. Anyway, check out check this out on YouTube. Check out the link below scrolling by, and be sure to check us out on X as well. We are pushing those out all over. So if you're looking to support your favorite podcast, you could do so through that link. All right. Let's talk a little bit of Carolina Panthers. Like I said at the top, we are officially in full-time NFL season, off-season, which means we're also in full-time draft season. I think year-round is draft season. I'm always into looking at and evaluating great talent coming out of the college ranks into the pros. You want to get started early because there's just so many players coming up. But with that, too, we still have other stuff to talk about for the Panthers. And today I just wanted to do a quick little highlight because there's just been so much going on in terms of trade rumors across the league. A lot of players dropping that they are interested in being traded. So I thought I'd highlight a couple folks and, maybe somebody who's not interested, but, we've talked about before. Carolina has some work to do this offseason, both defensively and offensively, particularly in the wide receiver room. What's in the realm of possible for them? And we'll try to dive into this a little bit more in depth later on as we get closer to the draft. And we see how they go through the offseason, who they sign in free agency. But maybe there's a couple of folks out there that the Panthers could look to trade for. So let's start off. One of the first people I hear this name or see this name and hear this name coming up a lot for the Panthers on the wide receiver side is Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson. The guy would be absolutely phenomenal, I think, to get a hold of. He's going into the fourth year of his rookie contract. Jets will have the option, and they will almost certainly take it to extend, if they so have him, to extend his fifth year option. And possibly look at a long-term deal for him. He is, as such, he's only 24 years old. He's already top 10 in receptions last season. And that's despite the fact that, Aaron Rodgers just, I don't want to say avoid him, but probably did not give him, the attention that he would a typical wide receiver one, especially once Adams came over to the Jets. So you're only going to see his production tick up. And the more he work, or the more he goes along, the better his line is going to get. So I think it would be a great move, but I do think it's going to be unlikely. Just saw the news a couple of days ago. The Jets look like they are going to be moving on from Rodgers, which means Adams will be out, which means they're going to need to hold on to their wide receiver room that they got and the young talent they have. So I fully expect them to not be in the least bit interested in trading him unless it's a huge trade package, which I don't think the Panthers are going to be willing to give up a whole lot, especially in draft capital, because there's just so much roster building to do here. We don't have the stuff in the bag to really be able to make a trade like that happen, which is unfortunate. Continue on that wide receiver front, Deebo Samuel of the San Francisco 49ers has requested or is seeking a trade. San Francisco has given him and his agent permission to do so. So they will be shopping around here in the next month or so. Certainly, he is 29 years old. Just signed the contract extension. It was only a 2-year extension that takes him through the end of 2025. And then they turn into void years after that. That just helps them kind of string out how they pay his contract out over the next several years. But like I said, he is seeking a trade. He would be an interesting one to bring in. He's, I think, probably better than most of the receivers on the Panthers team. Actually, probably better than all of them. I've talked about this before. Carolina, I think at this point should be looking for a true number one receiver. I don't know if he's more of like, a gadget guy, someone who could get separation, someone who can be used coming out of the backfield, or if he is that number one receiving threat. I don't know if Leggett is going to make that number one receiving threat option come alive. So, although the two of them paired together might help promote the other one into one role or the other. So there is that option there. And he would come probably a much cheaper price than someone like Wilson. We'll have to give up our first round pick. We could probably get it done with an early third, maybe that late second we grab from the Rams, or that late second I'm almost certain would do it, that we grab from the Rams, but that might almost be a little bit too steep of a price. Maybe you could pick up an extra pick from San Francisco in that trade. But, if you could bring in someone like Deebo Samuel with one of those day 2 picks, and then with our day 1 pick, upgrade the defense, bring in a true heavy hitter on defense, that could turn into a pretty interesting draft outcome there, I think. And then finally, this is a wild shot, is Myles Garrett obviously is also seeking a trade from the Cleveland Browns. He too is 29 years old, but is still just absolutely killing it from the defensive end spot. He is under contract through the end of 26, with 4 years going out to 27. The guy is averaging 13 sacks per year over the course of his career. Like last year, he had 14. This last season had 14 sacks. He has had double-digit sacks in all but one of his one season. So they bring in somebody with that kind of production would absolutely be huge for this defense, and would make a huge impact right away. Big question there, though, would be if he is if he would fit in our scheme, if he would be a scheme fit for Evero's defense. He's been playing an even front, right side edge with the Browns. Carolina's base package, typically in defense under Evero, has been odd front, 3 men up with 2 outside linebackers. So I don't know if he would actually fit in that scheme at all. So that would be the biggest question there. Did some more playing around on PFF with their draft simulator. You can do trades if you've got the PFF subscription, and you can trade players, you can trade picks, trade a whole bunch of stuff. But I was able to finagle a trade with the Browns where we traded the 8th pick. I picked up Myles Garrett. I was able to actually do a pick swap in the 2nd round. So I moved our late Rams pick at 57 up to the Cleveland Browns pick, which I think is at 33. And then also picked up a 3rd round pick from the Browns. So got Myles Garrett, moved up in the 2nd round, and picked up an extra 3rd round pick. I think that's all I was able to do. But that worked out really well because essentially with the 8th pick, you get Myles Garrett, who's a tried proven veteran, who's just continues to be dominant. And then I think with the 33rd pick, fortune favored me, and Besh dropped to the 2nd round. I was able to draft a pretty dynamic Senior Bowl wide receiver and kind of help bring in some more offensive firepower to the Panthers. So, maybe something like that could work out. I don't know, but I think it's fun. It's interesting to think about and see where that could go from there. All right. So that's, like I said, just a little quick update on where we're at with the Panthers, how things are looking. But now let's kind of shift gears a little bit, move a little bit north to Raleigh, take a look at our hockey fans. Take a look for our hockey fans here. And let's see, where am I going? There I am. All right. And let's talk a little bit Carolina Hurricanes. All right. Hurricanes have just hit a little bit of a break. The Four Nations face-off is going on starting the February 12th and will be going on through the 20th in Boston. So right before the break, though, had a hockey match against the Utah Hockey Club. I don't know if that's their official final. This is their name, or if that's what they're still going with for right now. I know there've been a lot of posts. They were looking to get that name finalized. Maybe it's going to be the Hockey Club. I think they could do a lot better than that personally, but Hurricanes absolutely rocked this game 7-3. Lit that lamp over and over again. Their next game is going to be against the Toronto Maple Leafs on the 22nd. Like I said, following that Four Nations face-off, that'll be a 7 p.m. game. Prior to facing the Hockey Club, they did lose to the Minnesota Wild 1-2, and they lost to Winnipeg Jets getting shut out 0-3. If you want to check out more or hear more about that Four Nations face-off, I'm sure you can check out the Neutral Zone. They're right here on IE Sports Radio, and they can give you more rundown on who's going to be playing. I think USA, Sweden, Canada is going to be in it, and I am absolutely blanking on the fourth nation, but I can tell you Neutral Zone will not blank on the fourth nation for you, and they will get you all the information you need to know about that hockey face-off tournament coming to Boston. Should be a great time. All right. Now let's get into a little bit of talk about our Charlotte Hornets. It's been a busy freaking week for them. They have let's see, earlier this since I think from the last time we were in here, they played San Antonio, had a great come from behind last second win. Great little drive by LaMelo, who had a dish to Bridges with the 3-point shot from the corner to put them up by 1, and then they were able to successfully defend at the other end for the final second. Again, great, really emphatic win against the Spurs. Unfortunately, after that, we went to Detroit. Not much of a game there. Oh, I've got that backwards. That should be 102 to 112. Give me a moment and I'll get that right. Sorry, so they lost to Detroit 102 to 112. A little bit of dyslexia kicking in there for me. But saw that, unfortunately. And then, but really, I think the biggest news for this past week has been the Charlotte Hornets just have been absolutely crazy in the trade market. They have been going back and forth with a number of teams. We already saw a trade earlier a few weeks ago with the Phoenix Suns. Now we see another one where Charlotte traded Cody Martin, Vasily Misic, and a 2026 second round pick to Phoenix to pick up Yusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first round pick. Nurkic comes over. He's got 1 year left on his contract. We'll see if Charlotte expects to extend him there. But I don't know. I think the real purpose of this trade was pick up that 2026 first round pick. The Hornets have been stacking up on picks here over the last couple of weeks. I mean, deep picks too, like into the 2030s. It's crazy to me, like you can reach that far ahead. You don't see things like that in the NFL. I think there are rules against that, and but in NBA, absolutely, you'll see that going on. They can reach a lot deeper than they can in other places. So that's an interesting thing to see there. But I talked about Nurkic. We'll see how they utilize him, because they had originally traded or had a deal in place to trade Mark Williams, their oft injured center, to the Los Angeles Lakers for Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a 2031, here we go, first round pick, and a 2030 second round pick swap. Crazy to me for those kinds of deal, for that kind of deal, for those kinds of terms. But there you have it. That's the NBA for you. So they were looking to move on from Mark Williams. They, like I said, they had brought in Nurkic. Right after that, they elevated Moussa Diabaté from D-League up to Charlotte, and we're looking, I think, to have him fill in that center, possibly with the backup from Nurkic. But that isn't going to work out now, or that got thrown into flux when the Los Angeles Lakers rescinded the trade for Williams. He failed their physical due to multiple issues, none of which was, I guess, were his back, which has been one of his major issues coming in. So LA basically sent Williams back, said, I don't want him, you can have him. And now Charlotte is stuck with him, Diabaté and Nurkic. And we'll see how they move forward with that. Hopefully Williams, they can figure out his medical stuff, and they can get him back to healthy. Moussa Diabaté had a couple games. He plays with a lot of energy. I saw a lot of fans there on X, especially after that San Antonio game. They were pretty hyped about how he was playing. They're hyped about the energy he brought in. So hopefully he can continue to be bring that energy, but start to improve his game and be a real contributor there for awesome. Be a real contributor for the team. Hey, thanks always Arizona for the shout out. Looking forward to the show. Hopefully it's good. And thanks Jen for coming in before we got going here today. I have been having some issues with Echo. It was all my fault, and don't know how to use the microphone apparently, but I got it figured out. I got the Echo turned down now, or tuned out, and we are hopefully coming in loud and clear for all of you guys. All right, but we're looking at, but like I've said before, I'm still getting into this NBA thing. I'm still learning some of the ins and outs of basketball. I mentioned that these trades don't look anything like an NFL trade. They look so far into the future. The way the draft and the lottery is set up is so completely different from what you see in the NFL. Now, the more we dig into this, the longer I go along, the better I'll get at this. But in the meantime, if you're looking to know and understand things like these trade packages and what it actually means to get a 2031 first rounder or get a protected or unprotected first round pick, future pick, check out Fast Break. They are also here on ID Sports Radio, and they will give you those are the guys who really know this stuff. They live it, breathe it, and will just absolutely fill your cup up with some great basketball information. But let's see. Next up for Charlotte, though, will be the Brooklyn Nets. That is tonight at 7:30, so in a couple hours. You can tune in. You can check them out taking on Brooklyn. Looks like Musa, we're just talking about, will be game time decision for an eye. So will Nick Smith Jr. and Josh Green, both game time decisions. Smith for his back and Green for his calf. Luckily, Ball is looking like he's good to go, so he'll be in the lineup tonight against Brooklyn. All right. Let's take a quick break here now that we've covered some of our best pro sports, and we will check out a couple of our other stations. And when we get back, we will do a quick romp through some college football updates.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's jump into a little college football. I love college football. I talked about that before. We had a little bit of action here this last week as college football recruits started signing their letters of intent, solidifying incoming classes for all of our college football programs. So I wanted to take just a quick look through our major Carolina teams, looking at who landed in ESPN's top 75. And glad to say all of our major programs ended up in the top 75. I just kind of go through it like I normally go through. We'll start off with the Carolina Tar Heels. We'll go through North Carolina, and then we'll make our way down to South Carolina eventually by the end. All right, so UNC had, probably a bit of a rough recruiting offseason. They lost, fired their head coach, Mac Brown. But a good thing that kind of helped it out was the hiring of Bill Belichick. It looks like a lot of people are interested and ready to play for a Super Bowl winning coach. And that saw Carolina jump, I think, from somewhere in the 70s up to number 45 as the final ranking for the recruiting class. They brought in one ESPN 300 commit, Bryce Baker, quarterback from North Carolina. It was actually an original commit to North Carolina under Mac Brown. And then after Brown was fired, he kind of took a step back to see if he would carry forward with that commitment. And then after the hire of Bill Belichick, decided to remain on with the Tar Heels and signed his letter of intent. They also pick up another 4-star prospect, defensive end Austin Alexander out of Kentucky. Will be coming in next season as well. Carolina finished the recruiting cycle with 47 total commits. That's a pretty sizable class there, and we'll be looking to get going under Coach Belichick. We'll see how that recruiting continues on next season. Hopefully start making a push to get in the top 20. I know, I recall correctly, I think when Mac Brown, his second or third recruiting season was actually a really good one. And then after that, they really started to trail off. So looking forward to seeing some really strong recruiting classes coming back to UNC. All right. Next up, let's talk a little bit. Let's take a quick look here. Sorry. Oh, this is such an awkward layout. But we're going to take a look at the Carolina Blue Devil, or the Duke Blue Devils. Next up, they come in with the number 35 ranked recruiting class on ESPN. They have two top 300 ESPN 300 picks. Defensive end Bryce Davis out of Greensboro, North Carolina, will be coming in, and outside linebacker Bradley Gompers. That's a great name, I think, for a football player coming in. They also bring in, those are also their 2 4-star recruits, so they'll be bringing them in. Pretty strong recruiting class there for Duke. And actually, as we'll find out here soon, they actually beat out one of our other teams. You may not expect Duke to beat them out, but they finished off the recruiting cycle with 34 commitments. Another another really strong class, really big class. So I was looking forward to seeing how they come in and perform as well. All right. Next up, that's not the wrong thing. Next up, our boys from Raleigh, NC State Wolfpack, had their own fairly strong recruiting class, ranked number 44, which puts them ahead of UNC. Even though they brought in no ESPN 300 commitments, they brought in 6 4-star recruits, which helps per ESPN give them an edge against the Tar Heels. They're 4 stars. Running back Kendall Reinhardt, another running back DeAndre Disnor, offensive tackle Whitsett, and a center Isaac Sauls, and defensive end Colby Cronk coming in as well. And then finally, wide receiver Jarrell Boulder rounding out those 4-star recruits coming into NC State. So I am looking forward checking out those the offensive tackle and center. Past couple of years, NC State's done a really good job developing offensive line prospects. So looking forward to seeing what they can do with what those guys can do under that system. in that program. Of note, too, is AJ Prim, defensive end, coming from Pearl River Community College. He was in ESPN's Junior College Top 50. So we'll see how that goes for him. He could be, an awesome little sleeper of a pickup right there, and helping out NC State's pass rush. All right, and then let's see. Let's move on. Wake Forest, also with a good recruiting class here. Again, sitting in the top 75, and has, yeah, there we go. They are recruiting class number 56. Also, though, with no ESPN 300 commits, but they did bring in one 4-star recruit, so that's why you see him further down. And that would be quarterback Elijah Ohike, maybe, if I get that correct. They finish out, though, with 44 commitments on, again, another really big class for them as well. Looking forward. They will be changing over. They have a new coach coming in as well this season. So we'll see how all those guys kind of factor in to the changing coaching staff. All right. Next up, we've got the Clemson Tigers. And you expect big things here from the Tigers. Always, at the forefront of the the playoff picture. You expect them to see, or we just saw them in the playoffs. Surprisingly, and that's what I was talking about earlier, they came in at number 37 with this recruiting class, like putting them, like I said, behind Duke, who's at number 35. Now, the biggest reason for that is probably the number of commits. Whereas Duke had a commitment class of, what was that, 34? Yep, 34. Clemson is only bringing in 18 commits. And of those 18, you've got 9 4-star recruits, including 4 ESPN 300 recruits. So really strong class. So small, but pretty potent. Amare Adams, defensive tackle. Gideon Davidson, running back out of Lynchburg, Virginia. Ari Watford, defensive end. And Marquise Henderson, running back from South Carolina. All look to hopefully make an impact quickly for the team and keep Clemson in the hunt for the ACC title and getting back into the playoffs next season. Now, finally, we have our SEC team, University of South Carolina Gamecocks, coming in with by far the strongest class of this group. They ranked number 20 in ESPN's recruiting ranks, and they bring in 5 ESPN 300 commits. It's pretty powerful, including a trio of wide receivers and Donovan Murph, Jordan Gidron, and Malik Clark. All from South Carolina. First 2 guys there, Murph and Gidron, coming from Columbia, South Carolina. And then Malik Clark coming from Rock Hill, South Carolina. They're just south of Charlotte. Should be pretty dynamic set of wide receivers. They also bring in offensive tackle Namola Ajudahum and Lex Cyrus, another wide receiver coming from Susquehanna, Pennsylvania. And then another junior college transfer, Xavion Hardy, also in the ESPN's JC Top 50, coming from East Mississippi Community College. So great roundup here. Like I said, it's the off season, not a lot going on in college football, but signing period just wrapped up. Got a lot of great prospects coming in. Already looking forward to college football coming back in August. It's going to be a long summer, I think. A little hard I feel like Carolina folks, baseball is, a great sport. I love baseball. Great summer pastime, but unless you're hanging up those local teams, not a lot as on the pro side of that. So kind of a long drought to me in the Carolinas when you start looking for sports post draft. Really, got a few tidbits of NFL stuff here and there. The NHL playoffs will run their course come April, and we'll be into some Major League Soccer, but won't really have a lot of big excitement in the college football ranks until August, obviously. All right, we're going to take another quick break here. Throw down a couple more drops from a couple stations that you probably want to check out right about now. And when we get back, we'll do our run through of North Carolina, ACC, South Carolina, SEC basketball. Come on back.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's going on, guys? This is the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host for This is KC Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you interested in knowing what's going on in Kansas City? Well, this is the show for you. Not only do we talk about sports concerning the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, as well as all surrounding high schools, and of course, college when it comes to KU, K-State, UMKC, and of course, my alma mater, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. You can catch it all right here, as well as some fun facts about Kansas City and what's going on, such as music, festivals, whatever the case may be, in case you have to be out and about. So make sure you stay tuned to our new time and new day, Fridays at 2 p.m. Central, for This is KC Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, with your host with the most, Brandon the Franchise Buck.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Let's get into some college basketball now. All right, so we'll start off with the Tar Heels and their game against Pitt Panthers. This was a gut wrencher. This was a heart stopper. There we go. This was a heart stopper of a game. I'll tell you what. So Carolina gets up by as much as 11 early in the first half, but Pitt rallies, cuts it to within 2 at halftime, and then essentially a back and forth game through the entire second half. Really got to see a hard play from UNC down the stretch, especially in the final seconds of this game. RJ Davis with a game clinching pull-up jumper from near the top of the key to seal the deal. It did give Pitt some time at the end, but UNC was able to hold on and hold off the Panthers in Chapel Hill for this win. A desperately needed win for Carolina here. We've talked about before. They are, if not off, they are like fingernail clinging to the bubble at this point. They will probably be one of the first 4 out. Maybe they can make it to last 4 in, but ESPN right now does give them an 85% chance to make the tournament. I think that is incredibly generous, especially given the way they've played. I'm telling you, like losses against Stanford, who else? And their previous loss to Pitt, not great resume builders. Like that kind of stuff hurts. You can't help, well, you can, but it's hard to do, take in like losses to Kansas early in the year, lost to Auburn early in the year. They've been number 1 for a while during the season. Alabama, a W there will have helped tremendously. They just got blown out by Bama. They lost, a tight one to Florida. Those are the blowout to Duke. Those are teams that, okay, you're going to lose some of those games. You want to steal at least 1 or 2, particularly against Bama, maybe Florida. But those losses are one thing. But when you're losing against teams like Pitt and Stanford, and even the loss to Wake Forest has played incredibly well this season, but that's not a loss that you could take, especially 67-66 against Wake Forest, 1-point game. You've got to close that game out and get that win to build that resume and make a case to get in the tournament. It does, like I've said before too, it doesn't get any easier from here. We've got at Clemson tonight at 7 p.m. So not long after we hang it up here, we'll be tuning in to watch that game. That's going to be incredibly difficult. Clemson just knocked off Duke at home, and now they get to host Carolina. So hopefully we can maybe catch them on a little bit of a high. A little bit of a hangover, but I doubt it. I think Clemson's going to come out ready to play hard. I think they're looking to make a statement. Hopefully Carolina comes out, plays tough, really gets in on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully we see Ian Jackson come back. He has not had, I think, a double-digit game in the last 6 games after having, I think, 5 in a row, including 4 20-point games in a row. So we really need to get Ian Jackson back into this, get his shot, get his confidence in his shot back, and get him to start scoring some points if they want to make any kind of a run here to close out the season. I think they're still going to need a good deep run in the ACC tournament to give them a chance to get into the NCAA tournament. But that's kind of where we're sitting now, I think, for Carolina. Wish it were like a normal year, Carolina, or years gone by where Carolina kind of dominated the ACC, was right there at the top with Duke, but that is not what we're seeing right now, unfortunately. Speaking of Duke, let's again talk about these Blue Devils here. Having a little bit of trouble with Clemson, who was finally able to knock Duke off. They had a great game, really back and forth. I think Clemson able to, as much as you can, probably keep Cooper Flag held in check. Flag was only able to score 18 points. He also chipped in 3 steals, a block, and pulled down 5 rebounds. When you compare that to his stat line against UNC, I think that's like half of what he had against UNC. So when you look at it that way, Clemson did a pretty good job of limiting the damage that Flag could do. They then took advantage of a 5-minute scoring drought in the second half to take the lead. And then Duke, rallied, turned it back on, rallied a little bit, closed it back up with Clemson. Got it down to 71-70 with 58 seconds to go. Cooper Flag draining a 3-pointer to bring that score in. But then Clemson was able to respond pretty quickly. Chase Hunter, who's been one of their most outstanding players this season, answered with a quick layup, put them back up by 1. And then from there, through the end of the game, it was Clemson defense and foul shooting that got them the win. That put them earned them another 5 points to Duke's 0, giving Clemson a 6-point win. Right. Yep. Giving Clemson a 6-point win. Chase Hunter, again, coming up clutch, making 4 of those 5 free throws to seal the game and put the Blue Devils away for the first time in ACC play this season. Duke went down. Their next game, though, will be against the California Golden Bears. That's coming up in a couple of nights on the 12th at 9 p.m. Should be a good game for Duke. Get out there, visit the West Coast of the Atlantic Coast Conference, and hopefully have a good time out there in California, taking some of the sights and enjoy the weather. Probably a little bit better than what you got going on in North Carolina right now. All right, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk a little bit, swing back around to the Wolfpack. And get them up here as soon as I can figure out my color codes. And, not having the best year, NC State. So they go down to, they are also on their West Coast trip and go down to Stanford. This drops them in second to last in the ACC. Really hard season for them. And but losing to Stanford 73-74, another 1-point game for NC State. It was tied with 50 seconds left to go. Let's see. State scored. Ismail Diouf scored on a layup to tie it up at 71. Stanford came back, made 3 free throw to pull it ahead. Trey Parker with a layup, 17 seconds left to go, up by 1. But 17 seconds, that's a lot of time. And let's see, what was it? Stanford able to get the ball down, get back down the court. 8 seconds left to go, made their own layup, put them up by 1, and that's where the final stood. NC State the Wolfpack unable to stop Stanford Cardinal there in the closing seconds. So another tough loss for NC State. Really tough season so far, and hopefully they can get some of this turned back around, start picking up these close games, and get a couple wins. They are, where they're saying now, not going to be making the NCAA tournament, so which is a disappointment after last year when they had such a great run through the tournament. But we'll see how things go for them here in the future. Hopefully they get a good couple more victories going forward. All right. Next up, we'll talk some Demon Deacons. Like I said, with them, they have been playing really well and are, in fact, the first team so far, although Duke, I think, is probably not going to be too far behind. But they are the first team in the ACC to go out to California and get back-to-back road wins there. I don't know if they're trying to turn this into a thing, but I know it looks like the ACC network is trying to make this a thing, where it's the California road trip and Wake Forest undefeated on their road trip. They beat Cal 76-66, and that's after beating Stanford 79-73. Since losing to Duke and Louisville in back-to-back games, Wake Forest has rattled off 3 straight. Again, those are wins against Pitt, Stanford, and California. And like I said, Wake Forest sitting here with a pretty nice record, 18-6 overall, 10-3 in the ACC, and unfortunately, that's still only a slim chance, according to ESPN, to make the NCAA tournament, because the teams that they have been able to beat have given them a lower KenPom rating. And we know that when it comes to tourney selection, that rating is one of the biggest determining factors. But I hope that They can probably make another good drive through the ACC tournament. Let's see who they got coming up. They've got Florida State, SMU, NC State, Virginia, Notre Dame. So not a lot going for them on their current regular season schedule to help beef up that KenPom. They do have Duke coming up. Maybe if they can take Duke down the wire. I think they played them pretty tightly until the end the last time. If they can pull it off this time and get that upset win against Duke, that could certainly help their chances and get them into the tournament. But for right now, it looks like Wake Forest is going to be one of those last teams to not make, or one of those first teams to not make the tournament, right at the top of everybody else. So, but hopefully something works out for them and they get more credit and get the credit that they're deserved and can make it into the tournament. All right. We've talked a little bit about Clemson, Duke, but I do want to hit on the Tigers again real quick. Just kind of talk a little bit about, so oddly for them, great win over Duke, but that came right on the heels of a pretty inexplicable loss to Georgia Tech, who's sitting towards the bottom of the conference. So weird loss to Georgia Tech. Followed that up with that great win against Duke. And again, they're playing the Tar Heels tonight. They're pretty much should be a shoe-in for the NCAA tournament. They've got an 88% chance according to ESPN. So we sure see them with making the tournament come next month. All right. Finally, let's talk a little bit of SEC basketball before we sign this off and look at South Carolina, who continue, unfortunately, to be down on their luck against the rest of the field. They're in the SEC. Can't catch a break. I mentioned this before. They just got done playing Texas A&M. They lost to them by 4 points, ranked number 13. They got blown out by Kentucky, number 14 Kentucky. Now, coming up in a couple nights, 12th, 7 p.m., they will be playing Ole Miss, currently ranked number 25. It's just one hard hit after another, but who knows? Maybe this Ole Miss game will be one that they can actually turn into a win. They do play hard. They are a pretty scrappy team, but so there's a chance, I think, that they could maybe pull something out against Ole Miss. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case against Kentucky. They really were outmatched the entire game. We've seen, like I said, we've seen a lot of games where they play really tough. They might get down early, but typically they'll rally back. We've actually seen a couple of games where they were up early and then let the other team back into it, and then they had to fight it through to the end. But we've seen a number of games here where South Carolina, within the last 4 to 5 minutes, have been within striking distance, just unable to kind of put it together and finish it off. This was not one of those games. They were outmatched pretty much the entire game. They did get to within 3 points late in the first, but then Kentucky pulled away. And then in the second half, early in the second half, they managed to rally a bit again. They cut the lead down to single digits, got to 9 points. And then Kentucky went on a run, stretched it back out to about 20 points. And from there on, Kentucky just coasted to the end of this one, blowing them up with 23 points. All Kentucky through this. So not a great night for the Gamecocks. It's obviously not been a great season for them. And let's just hope that, they start maybe funneling some of that or some of the booster money from football into their basketball program, like it appears the rest of the SEC is doing, and start trying some recruits over there. All right, you guys, that is going to wrap it up for me again. Like I said before, make sure sponsorship links. Get that back up here for you. check that out. If you want to drop a little bit there, support the show. The show stinks and needs the help. No, don't do that. Don't think the show stinks. But if you want to throw the support our way, that would be much appreciated. And we will. Let's see. I think that's going to wrap it up for me. All right. So we will see you again next time.